Hello guys, and welcome to the Egyptian Museum. We're here in Cairo today and we're going to do a fast 360 tour of the museum. Obviously I can't take you around every single room because the museum is just too big. The video will be like 4 hours long. So this is going to be some of the highlights. Feel free to look around throughout the video. Hopefully the noise won't be too bad because I know it's quite busy today, it's a Friday. So let's go and explore the museum. So we're in the center of the Egyptian Museum now, and as you can see, as soon as you walk in, you're met with some pretty impressive statue straight ahead, which is Ramses II. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a huge history Egyptology lesson, but I'm literally just going to take you around, as I said, some of the highlights around here. Now, you can see this black pyramid here right in front of me. This is quite an interesting artifact. A lot of people like it, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding it, but actually it's not that mysterious in reality. It is, well, people claim that it's made, from space rock and materials not from this earth, etc., but it's actually just made from a type of rock called basalt. It came off a pyramid of Amenhotep, which is called the Black Pyramid, which is partially still standing today, and this was the capstone of it. So as I said, feel free to look around as we go along and look at the different items available. You can look here at this sarcophagus, for example. For reference, look at my hand and look at the thickness of the side here as I'm pointing down at it. Sorry, my face is very close to the camera, but super interesting, lots and lots of detail. I'll try and get the camera a bit close so you can have a look at some of the art on the sarcophagus. It's really amazing. Weighing absolute tons. Got the baboons here. Usually there's 12 of them. If you can see it there, if I just move it a bit closer. There's usually 12 in any funeral depiction, which usually indicates 12 hours of night that the god Ra has to pass through to get through to the daytime, to living again. You can see here some of this magnificent artwork etched into the stone. You often see people coming here and just touching this pyramid because, like I said, some people believe it has some kind of mythical powers. Obviously you can see here it's all broken and then placed back together again. So let's continue on with the tour. You can see a different type of sarcophagus here where the lid is actually got the face of the person on it. So we're still on the first floor, but we've just moved along. You can see there's a huge group over there. I don't want to walk into that because you won't be able to hear me. So we'll go down here instead first, and then we'll come back to this area once the groups move on. If you're solo, sometimes it's better to wait for groups to move on before you go into an area, then you can have a better time. We're now on one of the corridors to the right of the museum, which, as I said, there's plenty of rooms along this corridor that you come in and out of, and then you can just continue going down and looking at other items. So let's have a look at one of the rooms. Got some of these statues here of Anubis and Horus supporting the BLM movement. Believe it or not, some of the most interesting or treasured items are the ones that are perhaps seem least significant when you walk past them, and I'll show you some examples as we go along. But keep looking around, guys. Okay, so this is something very interesting I wanted to show you. Look at the sarcophagus opposite me, and look at the figure that's on it. So, if you look carefully, you'll notice that it's actually a dwarf on here, and it's very unusual because it's almost a life-sized depiction. Obviously, he's in the nude, and it's quite it's very unusual to see this on any Egyptian sarcophagus, a full real image of the person. Over there you can see this is the actual sarcophagus that he was put inside. I'm just going to walk around it so you can have a look at some of the depictions. And here you can see on the back of this is what would have been on the inside of the sarcophagus. I'm going to try and put the camera. I don't know if there's a plastic on top of it, so I don't know if you can see through it with the light, but I'll try anyway. So what's the story of this? So this gentleman was known as Djahor, and he was a dancer in ancient Egypt. He danced at certain ceremonies, and he lived around the 30th dynasty, which was kind of towards the end of ancient Egypt. I've just moved away from it just so you can hear me because there's a huge group behind me. I keep looking around, and yeah, he was quite a well-known dancer, and however he kind of, I wouldn't say he was necessarily a slave, but he kind of had a patron or an owner, perhaps, I don't know how you'd want to call it, but he obviously cared for him quite a lot because the patron had that sarcophagus made for him, and he also had him buried in the family tomb. So along with Djahor was 7 other full-sized bodies which were believed to be the family that sponsored him or looked after him, maybe even owned him, I don't know. So yeah, but there you go. Very unusual and interesting. But it's all these little things here around the Egyptian Museum that you wouldn't really notice or know about if you didn't know, without a guide, basically. So it's always handy to have a guide. So continuing on the tour, the main entrance is just behind me. We're still at the front of the museum now, going down what would be the left side corridor if you're looking at the museum. I'm just doing a loop. And opposite me now, we're coming up to one of the very, very interesting artefacts, which is a statue of King Djoser. If you don't know who King Djoser is, he's the man who built the first pyramid, which is the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, also known as the Pyramid of Djoser. And this is where the trend started, I suppose. Very, very cool and interesting. Let's continue with the tour. In the same room we have these 3 statues here. Now these 3 are King Menkaure, who is responsible for the 3rd and the smallest pyramid of Giza. Which was originally known as the Red Pyramid, but all the granite got stolen off it, but that's for another video. And he's depicted here with the goddess Hathor. These were just found randomly, believe it or not, all buried, like most. But yeah, amazing detail if you have a look at it in there. You'll notice that a lot of things look like they're boxed up around the museum. That's because a lot of the items from this museum are going over to the new, very modern, very special Grand Egyptian Museum. Let's have a look at this room very quickly. There's not too many people in here. Yeah, it's not too bad. So this room here is dedicated to Akhenaten. Akhenaten was the husband of Nefertiti and the father of Tutankhamun. Now he was quite an interesting character within ancient Egyptian history. He was very hated because basically he tried to cancel all the religions and get all the Egyptians to worship one single god, which is Atum, which was the creator god. You can see here he's always depicted quite strange looking. He doesn't look like that, we know that because we found his mummy. But he was so hated by the ancient Egyptians that they tried to wipe him out of history. And you can see here, for example, where I'm pointing in this cabinet here, there's all these elongated head statues. Like I said, he was always depicted, him and his family, as looking quite strange. Now, it's hard to know whether that's an over-exaggeration, but not forgetting that the ancient Egyptians were massively inbred. And incest was a normal thing, sisters and brothers, and it just kept going on generation after generation, especially the royal blood. Let me try and show you the sarcophagus real quick. Perhaps one of the very interesting and special statues here in the Egyptian Museum, which is the last thing I wanted to show you, isn't this one here. I'm just waiting for people to clear away. Is the statue known as Sheikh al-Balad. It's a statue of an ancient Egyptian priest. The eyes on that one, they're opposite me. It's the one here, this is cabinet standing. These here little statues, we find them quite often in tombs, and these are essentially there to be like servants for them in the afterlife, and they're known as, I think it's ushbetis. Sometimes they're blue as well, and you'll find thousands of them within a tomb. Let's have a look at this kind of golden sarcophagus here. Now, personally, I don't like filming mummies, but I think you guys deserve to see a mummy in this video. So here we go, and here they are. The king and the queen, mummified next to each other still. You see opposite me here. This is the king on my right, and the queen here on my left, which is the one we're opposite me right now. Perfectly, almost perfectly preserved, thousands of years. Again here, the king. Look at his feet. You can even still see the tread kind of on his sandals. There you go. And there's loads of other items as well as we go along, which would have been on the body, including, quite impressively, a full-sized chariot here. I'll show you the chariot quickly, and then I'll show you the death masks. You can see this full-sized chariot. Again, guys, sorry if the reflection of the glass is coming up. The lighting isn't the best in the museum. It's actually very hard to take photos sometimes, or film things in this museum. There you go. Full-size chariot. Tutankhamun had a chariot as well, found within his tomb. Usually chairs. These are gilded wooden chairs, so the gilding on it is gold. You find this quite often to save on cost. They'll gild stuff rather than making it of solid gold. So there you go, guys, the Egyptian Museum for you in 360. I hope you enjoyed this quick tour. Like I said, that was just some of the highlights. It can literally take you around, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours to get around this museum if you go around and look at it properly. I do highly recommend that you have a guide with you though, because you're just going to miss loads of stuff if you don't. So until next time, see you then.